aussi avec l'artiste sud-africain William Kentridge et le scientifique américain Peter Galison, collègue à l'Université de Harvard. Je voudrais parler brièvement du projet et puis poser des questions à Peter et à William en anglais et en français quand vous voulez. Donc, très rapidement, l'origine de l'expérience a démarré il y a 1 an et demi à Johannesburg. Je suis allé voir William et on a eu une conversation de 2 heures autour de l'idée de faire une expérience à la frontière de la science qui était très intéressante pour lui. À la fin, il était très intéressé par la relativité. Et 2 mois après, j'ai invité Peter à New York où William était pour son opéra de Shostakovich au Met. Et puis, il y avait plusieurs conversations après entre les deux. Et ce qui est sorti, il y avait un workshop ici à Paris en juin et puis un grand workshop à Johannesburg chez William en décembre. Et vous verrez dans la médiathèque en montant juste après un film de ce workshop assez magnifique. Donc, William, Peter, Philippe, bienvenue, welcome. Thank you. Donc, William, et puis je très près après, mais je sais que tu connais le français. Donc, nous voyons dans la médiathèque effectivement ce film, ce workshop, et it would be great if you could explain to us briefly how the installation here connects to the idea and the workshop and the project that will be realized in Kassel in a couple of years.
Well, the starting point after my conversations with Peter, which showed a whole world of Newtonian time, of time fractured with Einstein, and the movement towards the black hole, which are the 3 big arcs of the project. One of the things I did was call for help and rally the troops. That meant bringing Philip Miller, who is here, who's writing the music and has written the music in it. And then also maybe should just come see everyone's here to see Sabine Turnison, who both did the Sabine, who both is the scenic designer for the project and also the designer of the exhibition here. And then Greta Goiris, Greta somewhere. I don't know where Greta is. The costume designer, and Christoph, who worked with me in my studio, who makes the objects, and Jonas Lundqvist from Sweden, who designs a lot of these objects and makes them. Jonas, come. And Catherine Myberg, who edits all the film material, which is not an easy job. And in fact, if she's not here now, it's because she's still editing the film that's about to be shown upstairs. The film at the back of the room we finished about an hour and a half ago. On the basis that the possibilities, the richness of possibilities that the conversations with Peter had opened up about the parts of time that seem so counterintuitive if one thinks of scientific time, but completely intuitive if we think how we experience time, seemed a really rich project to spend a lot of time and a lot of effort from all of us on. So it's very much a collaborative project. It's not possible just through a conversation with the work of everyone. And we did that in the form of a workshop in Johannesburg in December for a week. And in the film upstairs, which is a long film, it's really a record just of extracts of what was happening every day in the workshop. And you'll see that the actual making of the work is slow and repetitive. The drawings are very much after the workshop was done, trying to find the energy. It's also a kind of an egg memoir to say the energy that we had in the workshop is the energy that we need to find in the final version, whether it's a projection, like the film on the opposite wall, or a live performance with musicians, which is still under discussion as to what is possible in the context of an exhibition and what will be possible in the context of a festival. So it's still very open-ended how it proceeds, but we have a lot of touchstones of themes, of images, of concepts, of things we want to expand on.
Si je peux, alors, on va aller en français. Merci beaucoup. Peter, tu parles beaucoup Et d'ailleurs, je devrais dire que Peter aussi est créateur de films, très connu aux États-Unis. Et tu parles beaucoup de 3 actes ici. Et peut-être tu peux expliquer à nous pourquoi tu vois cette production en 3 actes.
L'idée que nous avons eue, c'était de faire une espèce de progression des concepts de temps. De commencer par le temps absolu de Newton, et puis du déplacement de cet absolu par les idées d'Einstein, qui avait l'idée qu'il y avait plusieurs temps. Il n'y avait pas un temps privilégié, il n'y avait que les temps, au lieu de le temps. Et puis dans le 3e acte, il y avait une espèce de destruction de temps, dans l'idée du trou noir. Et donc ces 3 actes, le temps absolu, fin du 19e siècle, l'installation par exemple des horloges pneumatiques comme les horloges qui sont montées ici du 19e siècle sous les rues et les trottoirs de Paris. Il y avait tout un réseau de pulsations de temps par tuyaux pneumatiques, et les horloges qui étaient déplacées dans tous les arrondissements recevaient cette pulsation, ces ronflements de l'air, et qui faisaient le contrôle des horloges distribuées dans les mairies, par exemple. Et puis, dans les idées d'Einstein, tout ça a été déplacé par cette idée de division de temps, d'élimination de l'absolu, qui était un choc énorme pas seulement pour la physique, mais aussi pour la culture en général. Et de nos jours, il y a encore un débat qui existe en physique, qui est ce qui se passe avec le temps et l'espace dans les trous noirs, et comment on peut étudier ça, et si l'information qui descend si on jette par exemple un livre dans un trou noir, est-ce que l'information qui est contenue dans les livres disparaît, ou est-ce que l'information reste encore à l'extérieur, à l'horizon du trou noir? Et ces idées d'absolu, de division et destruction sont les idées guides que nous avons suivies, pas par moyen d'illustration, mais par exploration dans les moyens différents, par exemple par les machines, par la danse, par la musique. Le temps est l'idée guide de cette exposition et de performance.
Merci beaucoup. Philip, so I was just speaking to you before we started, and I was incredibly impressed by your work, in fact, the whole team's work in Johannesburg. Sound is an enormous role in the production of William, and you were telling me just now that it's a work in progress. Do you want to speak a little bit about where that's going?
Just to say that a lot of the material that here in the film was generated really out of that workshop with an amazing bunch of musicians and singers who worked improvisationally, and that raw material really came about, in fact, some of it through an initial conversation William and I had with this idea of finding a sound of resistance against time. And in fact, a lot of our work goes back to a previous project, to another one, and it came out as a result of literally of the sound of refusing to accept something. It came out of a voice, and that became almost as a sort of cactus, a seed that sparked a lot of the material. And I think that what I would say would be that the musical material that we're working with is exploring these ideas of being in and out of time, about disruption of time, about what makes us listen to music and time becomes suspended. We were talking about this earlier today. Those are the notions that I still wish to explore and hope to explore during the course of the event.
Thank you very much. William, just to riff up on that, could you speak a little bit about how the project and the challenges of resisting time has influenced your work, and particularly in light and in sound?
I think it's more when I suddenly realized how parts of this project echo with other work areas that the concerns are more than just about the mathematical science, but about what that science, how that science is connected to very deep metaphors from within us. So, for example, the resistance of time, the refusal of time, on the one hand it refers to the globalizing covering of the world with unified time, with the pumping of air through under the streets of Paris that would coordinate all the clocks, with using clocks to set your geographic positions throughout the colonies. And the kind of resistance, the political resistance against that globalization is manifested through a resistance to time. But at a much deeper fundamental level, obviously it's about trying to escape one's fate. So the images of someone running endlessly, but in the end you know he's not going to escape. And that, as Einstein posited, you could have twins, and one would stay behind and the other would travel through the universe trying to escape his fate. And when he returns, he's aged 60 years, and his twin brother is maybe dead for 1,000 years. That's very evocative of what it is to try to leave what your destiny is and find you're still stuck with it. So it's much more, it's both those questions of resistance, and as Philip was saying, it's finding out how does that translate into what you see in front of you, into these machines, into the voices of the people singing in the procession. Suddenly the procession of people becomes a procession of people being led towards the black hole. And so the black hole, which is about extreme gravity that won't let light escape, is obviously also, in its most basic form, a sense of something that's all-enveloping and all-destroying, like a death. So it's about also the attempting to run away from what we know is coming towards us. And the interesting thing for me about the conversation with Peter is that there's a scientific postulation or thought or theory which spreads and suggests many metaphoric associations in our head. And then when you pursue those metaphoric associations, discover Peter has more scientific things which are even closer to that. So the question of something going into the black hole, whether it's completely swallowed, whether even as a body falls into the black hole, its image hovers around the edge of the event horizon. Suggests just in the science itself, this idea of a separation of body and some trace of the body waiting to be resurrected. So it's discovering those associations rather than knowing them in advance. For me, that is the point of discovery of much that we do. An enormous thank you to your extraordinary equipe here for the care with which the actual installation has been made. We've just come from working, a whole team, at La Scala, doing the opera, and we're writing like a deep breath. When they have said that they haven't before you enter the play.
You can't know how many people have come from La Scala and told us the same thing.
No. Believe me, it's an astonishing team you have, and the transformation of the space that you've both allowed to happen, facilitated, and had the team of people with the skills to do is a real pleasure.
And I want to thank you, David, and also Caroline. This is our optical telegraph here, signaling thanks to all of you for coming.
Bonne soirée à tous. Merci.